Hi everyone, I'm Gabby, the owner and clinical director of Recovered and Restored Eating Disorder Therapy Center. I wanted to jump on and say hi. Also, I am here with the amazing Cara. Cara has joined our team. So Cara, we're just going to jump in. Tell me about yourself and tell me what you do at Recovered and Restored.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, so I'm a therapist here at Recovered and Restored, and I primarily do individual therapy. I have some family therapy as well on my caseload right now. A little bit about myself. Let's see. I went to school in Philadelphia. I feel like a lot of people have gone to school in Philly,
Yeah.
so that is where I went to school. And then, yeah, straight from there, worked in a higher level of care for eating disorders for a few years, and now I'm here in
Yeah.
outpatient.
Yes. And you have something really cool. You have two. Kara is being so humble. Kara is fantastic and amazing and brilliant. Kara has two master's degrees. Tell them about your experience in your master's programs, both of them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I went to the University of Pennsylvania and they do a cool thing where it's like a dual degree and you get it in 2 years. So it's like a one and one. So the first master's that I have is in counseling and mental health, which is just fully based in schools and also like outpatient. So it's kind of a general broad scope
Yeah.
of that. And then the second one is professional counseling. So you kind of get more like specialized depending on like what you want to do. And yeah, and it was a good experience. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, very cool. And then you also have some sports psychology background, right?
Yes, I do. I'm finishing up a degree right now. I should be done in June, which is a long time coming,
Oh my God.
in sports administration. So I'm very excited about that. It's been like a side thing for so long, but I've always wanted to incorporate it in my like clinical work.
Very cool. So wait, are we gonna have three master's degrees?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a big deal.
Thank you.
So if you're a smarty pants, you want to work with Kara because she is also very intelligent and brilliant. So yeah,
Thank you.
very cool. But yeah, you do a lot of individual therapy here, some family work, which is amazing. So tell me a little bit about like your journey to kind of becoming a therapist and what led you to work with eating disorders, all of that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Thinking back to college, I feel like most people, I was undecided
Yeah,
for like a year or two, probably. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I was kind of just taking like general education stuff. I mean, at the time, I think that's where the sports kind of originated. Like I had always loved sports growing up, so I knew
yeah,
like in some capacity, whatever I ended up doing, like I wanted it to be in sports in some sense. So I took some coaching classes there, and I was also coaching lacrosse at the time, which was
yeah,
really fun. Yeah, and then I took the general like psychology course, and that was the only thing that really like spoke to me. I feel like
yeah.
when I was at that time. So yeah, I declared psychology as my major, and then from there, I feel like I just hit the ground running. And I thought about doing like a dual degree in counseling, but timeline wasn't going to add up.
Yeah,
So I was like, I'll do it for grad school.
yeah.
So by the time I was a senior, that's what I had picked to like go straight through to grad school and do that. So yeah, that's what led me to Philly. And that's what led me to counseling. I mean, for eating disorders, I feel like at first it kind of was something that like just sort of fell in my lap,
In your lab. Yeah,
essentially. Yeah, I didn't know exactly like what area I wanted to specialize in. When I was in grad school, I was doing a lot of different things, just exposing myself to kind of everything.
yeah.
So I did like schools and I also did like mental health settings. And eating disorders is something that like I started getting interest in. So that's where I landed straight after grad school in a higher level of care. And that's really where I got like my specialized training in it. And that's kind of what led me here.
Cool. And you saw some, I'm sure, pretty acute and intense cases.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say for the most part, it was an IOP PHP program, so intensive outpatient and partial hospitalization. So pretty acute care. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you are really struggling and you don't feel ready to take this step to a higher level of care, Cara can meet your need, which is so cool.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's a unique place to be and also like a unique skill set. So happy you're here. So glad to have
Yeah,
you.
I'm
And
happy to be here.
yeah, your awesome knowledge. So, okay, ideal client, I'm going to assume athlete, but just tell
Yes.
us all the things. Tell us who you like, who you're kind of like, meh, I don't really like them, and go from there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you hit it nail on the head. Definitely an athlete. I probably like based on what you've already heard this whole time, you probably could have guessed
You could have
that.
guessed that. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely an athlete. I really have like been enjoying runners in particular recently. I think that their mindset is so just like motivated, and I think that transfers into therapy very
Absolutely.
well with like goal setting and things that they're looking to change. Not to say that not every athlete has that, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely that. I love working with adults primarily. I do have a soft spot for teens, so it's not not necessarily off the docket, but
So like
yeah,
16
probably
and up. 16 and up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like a sweet spot. Yeah, definitely. So I feel like there's like a wide range. I think everyone brings something different. I think that's what keeps me like super interested too. So
Yeah.
I'd say that, and probably people like motivated to look more into their life and what they want to change about it or
Yeah.
what they want to learn more about. I think therapy is a great place just to even learn about yourself, let alone
Yeah.
like goal set. So probably that. Yeah, motivated to change, motivated to learn about themselves, open, vulnerable, willing to engage in conversation. That'd
Yeah.
probably be my ideal.
Yeah. Cool. Are there any specific eating disorders that you're like, I'll work with all of them, but I really do
Definitely.
my best work here?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Definitely open to all of them. I think it's interesting because I also like ARFID a lot.
I knew that about you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think that's so cool because it's a
yeah,
newer diagnosis kind of to the
mhm.
eating disorder world, but it's one that is really pervasive and complex. So tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. ARFID is one that I just find to be like super fun to work with because it's a lot of exposure work where
Yeah.
you're doing things at that pace of like, okay, like what are we actually working on next and what fear foods are you looking to like essentially conquer and
Yeah.
work through?
Yep.
Um, so I find it that there are a lot of like small wins in that every week where
Yeah.
it's like I did try this and I was able to move through like the discomfort of it. So I think that like anything that's based in like exposure work, I just have always found to be super interesting. So ARFID I think has a special place in my clinical work because of how exposure heavy it is.
Yeah, very cool. And I'm assuming because of that, you also like some OCD and some anxiety, 'cause
Mhm.
a lot of exposure work in that realm, which we also see as well.
Yeah, for sure. And even like body image hierarchies,
Yeah.
working towards that. I always find that so fun. So definitely those two.
Cool. Very cool. So tell me, what can a client like expect? What are some of your favorite ways to engage with clients? How do you like making them feel safe? Like, what are your go-to kind of things in session that help you connect with your people?
Yeah. I mean, definitely building rapport and taking time to really
Yeah.
get to know you on like a human level.
Yeah.
I think that's important just to show my human side
Yeah.
and be with you in that space. I think if people were to experience me in therapy, they probably would mention like my quippy humor
I love that. I
as
love
part
that.
of rapport. I like to, I don't know, just kind of joke around and bring levity to the space too, because
Yeah.
it obviously is a serious space, but can also be light. And I
Yeah.
think that always helps rapport and also just shows like a little different side of me where it's like, no, I'm human too. Like
Yeah.
I get it and I understand. So definitely humor and yeah, creating a safe space, getting to know people on a human level. Probably those would be the things that I would name.
I feel like you also do a really good job of like introspective work. Like you're really good
Mhm.
at asking like insightful and like Socratic questions, which I think sometimes we
Yes.
need because we can be so stuck in like the symptom-based mindset. And yes, of course, we want your symptoms to go down a
Yeah.
thousand percent and we want to alleviate and quiet that eating disorder voice. And
Yeah.
I also want you to get to know yourself. And I think you do a really good job of like being introspective.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that kind of, I don't know, it more so comes just from like the school of thought of like existentialism. Like I find
Yeah.
that so interesting, finding like meaning in your daily life. And like life can be chaos, but it can also be boring. So like overall, like what is the meaning? Like what are we working towards and why? I love the why question. Like
Yeah.
why are we doing what we're doing? Where is the meaning behind it? And I find that really interesting just to hear people's different perspectives on life and like what they want to get out of it. So definitely that too.
Yeah. Very cool. How do we create a life where our eating disorder just doesn't fit? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So cool. So what are we all have our stuff, right? Just like we've been saying, we are human too. Therapists are human too, and therapy is relational. So what are
Mhm.
your go-to coping skills? Well, how do you like to just like relax, hang out, and just, make yourself feel better if you're having a hard time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like there's a lot of different like avenues depending on what I'm
Yeah.
dealing with, or, like what I need, but
Yeah.
I can do a broad scope.
Yeah.
I go to therapy weekly. It's
Amazing.
like a
Same. Thank
non-negotiable for
God.
me. Yes, shout out to my therapist. You know
Therapy.
who you are. I
Yes.
think it's just like number one thing that like I need to do to take care of my own mental health.
Yes.
So that I've been doing for many years at this point. And
Yeah.
then aside from that, I mean, any sport, if someone wants to play pickup or lacrosse is one of my favorites. Even just playing
Yeah.
like wall ball also
Yeah.
gets my mind off things, getting into a flow of something. But something that people probably wouldn't know about me, I'm actually very like artistic and
Oh,
like
very cool.
I love to paint, like I love to write, I love to read. My mom got me this like uh painting book where it's like watercolor
Yeah.
and that I've been getting into a lot recently. And you just flip the page and it kind of gives you like an outline of something and then you make your
Cool.
own. So
So
surprisingly, creative side of me. And art is one of those things that I use like to
I
kind of
love
relax and
that. I love that. You can also always incorporate that into session if someone is crafty, right? Like when we use art, we use a different part of our brain, so it
Mhm.
automatically helps our symptoms to decrease. So like so cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I always feel like if someone wants like that artistic side in their session, I'm of course open to doing that.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. So what can the client expect when they're meeting with you?
Yeah. Of course, like a non-judgmental space, like no
Yeah.
matter what you bring, we will walk through it, we will talk about it, we will talk about how you feel towards all the things that are going on in your life. Validation of those experiences and emotions. We all have emotions and they all have meaning. So
Yeah.
important
Yeah.
to kind of provide that empathy there. And I also think that I bring obviously like the gentleness with all those things and like a soft approach there. I also think I bring a little bit more of a direct approach when needed. So you can expect like a place to be challenged, but in a non-judgmental way. Like
Yeah.
I'll call you out and I will also be there for you
Yeah.
in your time of need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that probably would describe my style, like gentle and empathetic, and also like I will challenge you in places
Yeah.
that feel safe.
Sometimes we need that, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course, that gentleness holds such a beautiful place in the therapy space, but sometimes we need
Mhm.
to be like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Exactly. And yeah, it's something that I feel like I appreciate too, just like outside of therapy. For
Yeah,
people who
same.
like know me closely, like my relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing something like they're like, okay, like let's think a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, that too.
Cool. Well, tell us some fun things about you. I always like to end there.
Okay. Fun things. Well, I mean, I definitely in the line of sports, like have tried a lot of things in my life. And growing up, I was never really into like snow sports much because I had other things going on like year round. So as a now adult, I have taken up ice skating, which
Oh my gosh.
I never would have thought I would have done.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
cool.
yeah, I started it about a year ago and I was like, I just want to get back into like a sport. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
what it is, like the
yeah.
community aspect of it, I feel like is so fun. So I started taking like adult learner skate lessons.
I love that. Oh my
I
gosh, do you
know.
like it?
I love it. And I
Oh my
go
gosh,
like
cool.
recreationally outside of that too. So I'm skating a couple of times a week, which is just so fun to like also like meet friends and like
Yeah,
new experiences like that. So ice skating has been something I've been just like loving and never thought I would get into that, but
yeah.
here we are. Yeah, so that's one thing. And then outside of that, I mean, my partner and I, we love to go do like national park trips. So he and I
Cool.
are always looking for like, where's our next trip gonna be?
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see what we do this year. But yeah, outdoors stuff, nature, like I said, art. And I read a lot. I mean, if anyone loves Harry Potter, you'd be a great match for me.
Love that. Love that. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So cool. What sports did you play growing up? I forgot to ask you that.
Oh yeah. Man, I pretty much tried everything growing up, but like I guess through like high school, college, mostly lacrosse was like my favorite
Yeah.
towards that time of my life. But growing up, I played soccer and basketball pretty much like year round,
Yeah.
whether it was like a travel team or it was like the school team, what have you. But I feel like lacrosse is probably the one that like held the most love in my heart.
That was your sport. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those would be the three. I mean, when I was younger, I did like the, kid gymnastic stuff
Yeah.
and like dance
We
and
all
stuff
did.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
played tennis for like one season when I was in middle school and I hated it.
So if you play tennis, Cara doesn't want to work with you. No, I'm just kidding. We're totally joking. We embrace
All
all.
sports are equal. It's just
Yeah.
not my favorite
Not your
personally to
fave.
play. Yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool. Very
yeah.
cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So we like ice skating, currently traveling, and some
Traveling.
national parks, and then favorite food and favorite show.
Hmm, that's such a hard one. Favorite food. I mean, I'm Italian, so I feel like anything Italian. Goes for me. Spaghetti
Mhm.
and meatballs was like a staple growing up.
Amazing.
So probably something like that or like a penny pasta. I mean, my grandmother, she was like one of the best cooks in the world. She passed a few years ago, so she
Mhm.
will know that I'm talking about her,
Yeah.
but her chicken nuggets were like the best things ever because they were like homemade and delicious and I never got the recipe and I really wish that I knew how she made them. I would like to replicate them. But yeah, her cooking was just like so good. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, so that would be like my favorite food. But then again, if I was going like if I needed something on the way home, like Chipotle bowls,
They hit.
they hit. They're
Yeah.
wonderful. So it'd be like if I was just driving home and I needed something to eat. And then what's the other question? I forgot
Favorite
already.
show.
Oh, favorite show. Well, I think on repeat Friends,
Right.
probably. Like I think that's just
Classic.
like a classic. Um, and I also like Gilmore Girls. Yeah, I feel like those two would be the ones that I have like on repeat, like the safe shows that you're just like always
Yeah.
going back to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh, amazing. I love that. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with
Mm,
us today. This will be
of
up on our
course.
YouTube page soon. Just a reminder, this is not a replacement for therapy, but if you would like to work with Cara, she is accepting clients. Head to our website, recoveredandrestoredtherapy.com, submit a contact form, and I will get back to you to get you on her schedule. Thank you all for being here today. And yeah, thank you so much, Cara.
Woo, you're welcome. Sounds
Bye,
good.
everyone.